Hi, I'm Lee.
I'm Joe.
And we are the Rewinders, rewatching childhood movies to see if they still hold up. And this time we watched a goodie oldie.
A goodie oldie?
In my opinion.
An oldie goodie?
I think so. Crocodile Dundee. And they had quotes under crocodile in the title for this one. I don't know if you noticed.
No, I didn't notice.
And I looked it up, like, why are there quotes around Crocodile Dundee? Because marketing people or the suits thought that people would get confused and think that Crocodile Dundee was an actual crocodile.
Okay.
I don't know.
That
doesn't make sense.
People in suits make weird decisions.
Well, they didn't have the internet back in the 80s, so they had to really...
So even though they set the guy up as being, here's his name, it's a guy, he's over here, they're still going to think he is a crocodile?
Maybe.
If it were a cartoon, maybe.
See, and maybe they didn't realize, didn't have the internet back then. You just can't just look it up and, oh yeah, he's not a crocodile. Oh.
And then they walk away because they're like, I don't want to have anything to do with this if there's not a walking, talking crocodile in this movie.
What? I'm just trying to think of the 80s now. Was there a walking, talking crocodile? There was Denver the Last Dinosaur. He's a friend and a whole lot more to do. Denver the Last Dinosaur.
Was he actually like a dinosaur suit or something like that?
No, he wasn't a no. He was a dinosaur in Denver with a rock.
There is an alligator that, but he's not a crocodile.
They're the same things.
No, they're not.
Whatever. Anyway, Crocodile Dundee.
Yes.
This was in 1986, and this is when, in the 80s, the United States had a love affair for just a couple years with anything Australian. I think it's because it seemed mysterious. Do you remember any of this at all as a kid? The Wonders of Australia, or you didn't care?
I don't think I cared.
Because we had Mad Max, we had Yahoo Serious.
Yep.
Obviously, Crocodile Dundee.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one other I can't think of from...
What do you mean?
Foster's Beer.
Well, yes.
Anyway, but it was just... it was around that time period of the 80s. Oh, Men at Work.
Okay.
I come from the land down under.
Yeah. Well, then why wasn't Africa a big thing with Toto?
Oh, I can't explain. No one can explain Toto. But I had a friend. Not a friend. And around this time, also, my dad's best friend is Australian, and he's from Sydney.
Okay.
And he came to visit, and he brought treasures from the wondrous lands of Australia, or just tourist stuff. And I got 2 boomerangs out of it.
There you go.
Yeah. And some money.
I think everyone kind of had a boomerang at one time in the 80s. And then they realized how not fun they were, and then never got another one.
I don't even think I threw it because it was painted and looked pretty.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't made for killing. It was made for looking. But what do you remember, childhood memories of Crocodile Dundee?
So, I think, honestly, a lot of the memories only really circulate in New York for some reason. The Australian stuff, not really sitting there.
No, okay.
And when I thought about it, it was like, yeah, he uses his knife all the time. Yeah, he fights crocodiles all the time. Yeah, he does. He fights all the time. And
not really.
and yeah, so it was a lot more action in my memory of this movie.
It's the second one has the action in it. The first one, I kind of combined the two together in memory, where this one is very much more comedy and just fish out of water, fun story, and then the second one is the one where there's a drug lord and there's action and danger and a lot more fighting, and I think he uses his knife a lot more in that.
It's possible.
It's possible.
I remember that I watched the second one, but I can't for the life of me remember anything about it.
These 2 movies had a lot of... I watched these Crocodile Dundee movies a lot as a kid, and I definitely just remember a couple of things from New York City, but I'm the opposite. I remember all the stuff from Australia. I don't know why. Maybe just because it was interesting. And
well, it's not like there wasn't interesting things. I just
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Child brain, whatever memories you capture,
Yeah.
or whatever influences you, or really just sticks with you with one reason or another. Who knows? Who knows? Child
And
brain.
add time into there, and
Yeah, that too, and frequency. Of movie you've watched over and over. But yeah. Let me think. Besides his knife, and I have a Crocodile Dundee knife that my dad gave me. It's a big, giant Bowie knife.
have you done in any crocodiles with it?
No. Only alligators.
Oh, okay.
That's why they're the same thing. Anyway, what do you got? What do you got, Joe? Do you got the plot?
Sure. Can you handle the plot?
We'll see.
All right. So we start in New York night. It's in newspaper place. Dude on the phone, and hey,
Yep.
you're gonna come home. And then the lady's like, hey, no, I'm not, because I've heard this dude lives out here, and he got his leg eaten off, and he crawled back. I should get this story.
He just
this
got
would
it
be
eaten
awesome.
off, or by a crocodile.
By a crocodile.
Oh, he just didn't. I mean,
He didn't eat it
He
off.
could have been in Florida, and the guy in bath salts just like, I'm gonna eat your leg.
Yeah, but they were in Australia.
Yep.
So she seems to swindle this guy into paying more money for her to be jet-setting around the world and finding crappy stories to publish in a newspaper.
I'm just thinking, watching this as an adult, what a waste of money. Oh, you're a newspaper. Okay, so she's a reporter talking to the chief editor or whatever. They have a relationship, kind of. You can tell maybe that they're together, whatever. But she's in this huge hotel overlooking the Sydney Opera House, and just what a
That's
waste.
the only way you can know that she's in Australia,
I
if
guess
you
so.
see that.
What a waste of money. But then you realize, oh, I didn't remember this part later on in the movie. Why? Because, well,
Don't ruin it.
I won't ruin it, but there's a reason why money is being wasted, I guess, in my opinion. But you're right. Yeah, she hears of a story about.
Yep. And
this guy.
as she tells it, her hair never dries because it's got the wet look that night.
It was popular in the 80s.
And so after we establish that there's this guy with a 20-word name, and 2 of the words are Crocodile Dundee, then, so like within the first few minutes, we have the name of the movie already repeated back at us.
Yeah, so now I'm happy.
And then it cuts over to the credit sequence. A helicopter starts with the didgeridoo to make it feel Australian, and then turns into crappy 80s music.
I love this music, the theme for Crocodile Dundee. Not, there's other music in here that does not fit. It's cheesy and bad, but I love the main theme of it. I have it in my head.
I couldn't even tell you what it is.
Anyway, yeah,
Okay.
I have it in my head, and as soon as that music started playing, as the credits, it's a helicopter showing you going out into the bush of Australia.
Yep.
It just nostalgia waves kept on hitting me over and over, like, oh my god, this music, and because it's the main theme of the music. Then they play it at the very end of it, and that really hit me hard because I remember as a kid, like, oh, I really like this ending.
Did you cry?
I teared up a little bit this time around. Like, aw. Anyway, but I'm getting ahead of myself.
So yeah, the helicopter shows off.
Hold on, you didn't like the music?
No.
I enjoyed it thoroughly. Okay, sorry. Go on.
Apparently, the helicopter takes her out to no man's land in Australia, and she gets dropped off and picked up by Walter, who is the most British man in Australia.
He's Walt. I love him.
And he wears all white
Yep.
all the time.
He's always he's like in a safari type outfit. I like Walt.
He should always have tea on him to prove how British he is, even though he does a pretty good job by himself. He takes her into town, and that's where we get hit with our first product placement on the hotel.
Foster's.
Yep,
It's Australian.
big sign for Foster's
Yeah.
that obviously would not be there. It's too clean and prominent, and whatever.
And nobody in Australia drinks Foster's,
No.
as I've come to understand.
Yeah,
it's
no,
this
it's-
other beer that, it's nobody drinks Foster's. But, yeah.
So they're out in a place called Walkabout Creek, and he took her to the Walkabout Creek Hotel, which makes...
That's all they got.
Yeah, it just looks like a rundown place that you would have seen in
5 buildings. Yeah, there's dust
something
everywhere.
from the Wild West or something.
I was expecting Humongous to come around and like, give us your women and give us your gas. Anyway, but yeah, it's a shithole, and that's the idea. It's like it's run down. You're in the sticks, and Walt has been talking up Crocodile Dundee that they're going to meet at some point, but just saying how basically just making him into a bigger legend that Crocodile Dundee is.
And when the locals hear these legendary tales, they cut up and joke and
it's getting better and better every time you tell it. Yeah, cracky.
So Walter's trying to convince her that, he's going to be a normal guy. These people doing these weird and wacky things in the pub, don't worry that he's not like that. But he ends up tossing a stuffed crocodile into the pub, which freaks everybody out. And then a knife comes in and, the whole place goes into chaos for a little bit.
And that's our first introduction of Paul Hogan. And his name was before the credits, so he's a big deal.
No.
He's a big deal from Australia, apparently, and then he became a big deal for a while after this movie, because this movie was huge. It was only second biggest next to Top Gun that year.
Wow.
It was...
What was wrong with people that year?
They
liked Top Gun, and they liked
Paul Hogan.
This.
Okay, well, he's and he's an older man. He comes out, and he's got lean muscle on, and he's... in leather outfit, I guess.
And he's been out in the sun too long.
He's very weathered.
Yes.
Very weathered man.
And they try to make everyone look weathered, but they end up just looking smeared with, like...
dirt.
Or shoe polish.
Shoe polish. Yeah, but she's Linda, I think. No, Sue is her name. I think Linda is the actress.
I call her
name.
She and her all over.
It's Sue is the character name. Played by Linda.
She's forgettable as
Kozlowski.
a character.
Really? I liked her this time around. As a kid, didn't pay any attention
Well,
to
I
her.
could see as a kid it went,
Besides one scene in particular.
When you see her butt?
When you see her butt thong, yes. but I don't know. This time around, okay, they're giving her something else.
I can kind of see what you're saying.
She says, like, I can handle myself. I'm a tough New York girl, which is a cliched line.
Yes.
But I don't know. I liked her more than in, say, other movies of other actresses who just be... I don't know how to describe it. Whatever. I like her.
Okay.
Anyway.
So then Dundee, swings her around, dances to the most awful MIDI. Like this jukebox must have came for like 50 cents because it plays... crap Casio keyboard songs.
And that's what I mean. Like, I only like the theme, but then this music comes in. What shit is this?
It was god awful.
Yeah. And the whole idea is that it's a rough and tumble a bar. He's got a friend there named Dunk and another little guy, and they have like this stupid little joke where you have to punch Dunk on the head. He puts a beer on the top of his head, and you have to try to knock it off, but he's off of him by punching him.
Gut or something.
Yeah, something like that. But Mick Dundee, as his actual name is, I guess.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah. He kisses him instead to knock the beer off.
And then he's like,
we're just having fun. We're just having fun. Let's get some more Fosters out here. But he's just showing like, whatever. Yeah. She's asking him, so how did you... I thought you lost your leg.
Yeah.
He just shows a big gnarly scar.
Yeah. That's... bad enough in my book.
It was. You survived that. That's and crawled all the way back to, I guess, quote unquote civilization.
Yeah,
but
then white guy who obviously is not from around there is like,
that's right.
Calls him a poacher, and that's a bad word.
Yeah.
So then Crocodile Dundee punches him in the face, knocks him out. And
while
they drag him out, and all the locals are like, screw him. So you're like, okay, whoever that guy was.
Well, he comes back later on, but they're just, the idea is that they just want to go kill some crocs for fun, and maybe Crocodile Dundee, I guess since his name is there, can go help him out. But the idea is the movie's trying to show, he's a good guy, he's not a poacher, even though he kind of is.
They don't say it.
They don't directly say it.
But they kind of show it.
Yeah, exactly.
So, then after that, and he punches the dude. They head out into the outback the next day.
Yeah, the whole idea is that Walt and Mick have a tourist business.
Never Safari?
I think that's it. I think you're right.
Why is it called that? Because you never want to go out with them because you'll never come back.
Oh, snap. And Sue, being the reporter, she wants to get the full story. Yeah, she's met Mick, but she wants to be let out into the bush on where the attack happened and how he survived being almost killed by this croc. So she wants to go out in there. So that's the thin excuse of why
they do this.
She's going out, and it's really just to showcase Australia to Americans or to the rest of the world.
The non beaches, the non-city,
exactly,
and then also slowly and cautiously introduce the Aborigines.
Very much so, and I definitely remember that as a kid too. The Aborigines of,
and I think there's more of them in the second one.
There's a lot because they're in Australia a lot more in the second one.
Yeah,
but
anyway,
I enjoyed all the I guess shots. The film filmography, the shots of Australia. I enjoyed it.
It's really hard to make a place like Australia not look interesting. I mean, unless you're like just shooting down at dirt really close.
Then exactly. But then you realize, that's only 90% of Australia is photographable. The rest of it's just desert.
It's desert,
and nothing there. So I mean, they're showing you pretty stuff and interesting locations, but.
And there's some great movies about that nothing space. I think
is it called Australia?
No, it's called something like Trek or something.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's about like a teenage girl that decides to cross it by herself.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Did she survive? Because holy shit, everything there is venomous.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Everything there is bred to kill you.
Yeah, and it's not like this movie at all.
Oh no, of course. No, this is light and.
Although there are journalists in that, and they are covering her story.
Huh.
It's suddenly now this weird sort of like
That's
Crocodile Dundee, but in a different part of the world, part of their country.
But
anyway,
did they have a charming Paul Hogan though.
No, but she had a dog.
Oh, puppy. Okay.
So they go out and she does a mini interview with him in the car, and so you get some idea on the background of stuff like that.
Oh yeah, the idea that he doesn't even know what year it is.
Yeah, and he was raised by Aborigines.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. She asked let's just get to know who you are. How old are you? I don't know. The Aborigines who told me I was born in the summer. Yep. So whatever. And at first, you're trying to figure out because he and Walt are trying to make things bigger and more lavish, or is he telling the truth or not? But I think he is.
They do ride that line very well, but
yes.
I think by the time you get through the movie, you realize he was actually intertwined with the Aborigines somehow,
and he has mystical powers.
Ooh,
kind of
over water buffaloes.
Yeah, that we show up soon here.
So there's a water buffalo just standing in the road, so they have to get around it. So they do this really weird, he gives the water buffalo the hang loose sign to its face, and then the water buffalo lays down. This does not help them get around the water buffalo.
The same thing is, now the water buffalo is in your road, in the way now. I mean, it's laying down. It's not going to, I don't think it was even going to charge the weird truck thing they're driving, but.
So apparently, I guess they go around it, which they could have done anyway.
Yeah, but
we needed to see the wow.
And she and Sue was just wow. This guy actually may be for real because she was even wondering. I know I'm not dumb. They're pulling my leg.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can understand it. Yeah, but maybe he's got something else.
So then they end up on a boat and they go zooming off into the
boat.
Yeah.
That's
how we say it around here.
Going to boat.
God damn it.
I know.
And they kind of go over Aboriginal rights to land and stuff once they get to the camp.
Yeah, because Sue was asking, well, don't you believe in that the Aborigines have a way to get their land back that was taken from them? And he just says, well, they don't think about it that way. They just walk on the land. And what I really like, he says something like, see those rocks over there, that rock mountain area, whatever. Mm. Those have been there for thousands of years, millions of years, and they'll be there afterwards too. It's like arguing about a tick arguing or a fleas arguing over the body of a dog. Like it's insignificant. Who cares really? Is his whole lifestyle idea is whatever comes my way, I'll deal with it then. I'm not really gonna have an opinion about this or that. Just whatever. If I can't change it, then I'm not gonna try to.
Which sadly doesn't make great dynamics for a character.
No, but it makes him interesting, though, too.
It makes him interesting on that level, but then when he has to interact with stuff, I mean, you can throw whatever at him and he rolls with it, and it's like, when you have more defined characteristics, you can get more interesting things out of characters. So to me...
that's not the point of this movie, though.
No, it's not.
The point of this movie is that we meet
Paul
this
Hogan
guy.
wanted to be in a movie.
Paul Hogan wanted to show how charming he was to the rest of the world and how awesome Australia is. So the whole point of the movie is, here's this kind of backwater guy who's nice, who's not an idiot, and then eventually be thrown into New York City and all the technology, because he doesn't care about technology. Even though there's this one scene where Walter's going to drop them off, he'll be back on Wednesday, and as they're getting out of the boat, he goes to Walt and checks his watch, and then looks up at the sun.
Well, that sun's a star.
Yes, he looks at the sun and says, "Yeah, well, it's about 2:20 right now. Better start walking to make camp." And she's amazed, like, "How did you know what time it is?" Because then she looks at her watch, the exact time. Holy shit, this guy's for real.
They synchronized.
Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, but there's that.
So yeah, and when they set up camp at night, they're just having this talk about land rights and all that stuff.
Oh, that's
and,
that one? All right.
He's walking around as he's talking, all nonchalant, grabs a snake randomly, snaps its neck, throws it aside, and then we find out, oh yeah, it's really venomous. Don't worry, though. If you stay close to me, you don't have to worry about him.
It'll be fine. Don't worry.
It's like, yeah, okay, that's the kind of character I liked about him, is this nonchalant, like... Yes. He knows exactly what to do.
Yeah, he was raised out here.
Yeah.
And then,
So no matter how cheesy, big he tries to make it sound, there's obviously truth undertone.
He's got skill. He does have some skills.
So they go to sleep, and lady gets waken up by gunshots as Yosemite Sam is right outside their camp shooting his guns into the air.
Yeah, a bunch of poachers, or not even just drunk assholes in trucks shooting... kangaroos. Yeah. Yep. And she goes off, and Paul Hogan is hanging out there. Not Paul Hogan, Mick Dundee. Whatever. And and the whole scene is just to show that she's like, well, aren't you going to stop them? Why would I bother? They're just having fun. It's not against the law.
Yeah.
What they're doing. But then she's like, they're killing cute little kangaroos. Please stop them. So then he takes a corpse, kangaroo, when it was already shot, puts his rifle in it, and then whistles for them. A guy was going to take a piss or something like that. And was this the same guy that got punched in the face?
Yes.
Okay, I couldn't really tell. And
I'm pretty sure it was.
I'm sure it was. And then he uses the kangaroo as a shield, but also is shooting at everybody.
Yeah, so it looks like a kangaroo's having his vengeance.
Get them, kangaroo man. But not killing anyone because he's a good guy, hitting their windshield or searchlight, and they get spooked because mad kangaroo is going to murder them all.
Which, whatever. It's funny, not realistic, because they would all just level their guns and just start blamming away.
You don't know how drunk they are. Or, yeah, you're right, though. They probably just unloaded. You're thinking like an American, though.
Yes.
Not like an Australian.
So they... get that out of the way, and what the heck?
It doesn't matter where. I mean, we can just skip ahead, Joe. We don't have to exactly on whatever. We can generalize, really.
Oh no, okay. Now I get it. Okay. Then in the next morning, you see Paul Hogan shaving with a razor. And when he sees Lady coming up, he quickly swaps it out with his knife to be like, look how manly and I am when I shave in the morning. It's so dumb
because he just put the razor in his belt.
And he didn't hide it.
It's right there. So, and who cares?
Yeah.
I know, but he's just trying to show how manly he is with his sharp knife.
So, and in this conversation, he says, "Oh no, you can't last 5 minutes out there because you're a lady, and this is a man's country."
Yeah,
which ends up being kind of a theme of his in the beginning of the movie about her and Australia.
a little bit.
Which, granted, more or less, she's someone from New York who has no survival skills. It doesn't matter what. If I went to
Yes,
Australia,
exactly.
I'd probably end up dying.
I wouldn't want to go there. Giant spiders and snakes everywhere. Koalas with VD. My God.
So, but then she decides that she's going to show them up and get to their rally point. And she's like, well, I'll see you there.
I'll see you there. All right.
And he convinces her to take the gun, makes fun of her for holding the gun a certain way, so she fires it at him, hits right by his toe, which...
Lucky that she didn't hit him.
Boys and girls, do not point guns at other people. That is wrong.
Even if
that
you want to show how tough you are.
You don't do that. This is showing you poor usage and poor safety of firearms.
The more you know.
So then she heads off into the
bush,
the outback, and whatever.
Steakhouse.
And he's like being sneaky snake after her.
Sneaky snake, he is.
Takes his shoes off. Basically, it looks like he leaves everything behind, even his boots.
And that was a bad idea that I was watching. Just, wait, where's all his stuff? He needs his survival. I mean, he has a backpack and stuff. He took off his shoes to be sneaky. What are you doing?
I'm going to say he had a catapult that he didn't show her, and he just catapulted all his goods ahead of them so that he could just get it all back.
That's an ancient Aboriginal secret, catapult launching your equipment ahead of you when you're on walkabout.
Yeah. So he follows her until she decides to take a break next to water. Now, I've never been to Australia. I've never been to what's the swampy. I've been to Outback Steakhouse.
I didn't know. It wasn't. I went there once and only once. It was not good.
I think I maybe gave it a second shot and was just
really? No.
Well, I had a coupon. So
well, there was a reason why the one in Green Bay shut down. It was not good.
So she decides to stop at this watering hole area, and to me, it's like immediately as an adult going, "You're an idiot." And of course,
look out! There's crocs there.
So
oh no, you did it! Oh no.
Two things about this. One, you know there's crocodiles in that water because the movie's called Crocodile Dundee.
Yes.
And two, it's Australia. And this is water. Things live in the water that want to kill you.
Exactly. And not just that. Or three, it could be gross, stagnant water that could get you bacteria.
Why is she going to drink it?
And give you the poops.
That's why. That was number 2 on my list was, why are you filling your canteen with this crap?
And number 4, why did she take off her skirt thing so then you could see her butt?
I think
that's why.
To see her butt.
To see her butt, because Paul Hogan.
Why did she need to stretch like she did? To give you the idea that Paul maybe, he's a peeper.
He was peeping and bonks his head on the on a log or whatever. But yes.
Either way, Monster jumps out, grabs her canteen.
It's a monster. Yeah, she has a canteen around her neck, and it grabs the canteen and it's pulling on her. And I remember this as a kid, a scene being very scary. And it's still the way it's shot, very close up and panicky. It's just now I'm just thinking, it's the canteen around your neck really isn't that on you that strongly. Like
no.
If you just dip your head down, boom, there it slides off.
There's a lot of ways that this could have gone better, but whatever.
But as a kid, I don't know why I just didn't notice that, but I thought it was a very intense scene. Especially then when Crocodile Dundee comes out of the bush.
Your imagination is also taking over because there's really nothing to watch. Because you see something come out of the water, you guess it grabs her canteen because she's holding onto it and it's getting pulled.
Pulled back and forth, and then you see Mick run out, and then he stabs it in the head.
And you don't really see it in full until after it's dead and sitting there and motionless. Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay. I chalked that one up with when he said, "Hey, check out those rocks over there," and they never showed the rocks.
Yeah.
I'm guessing this is also part of the whole they had shoot so much stuff and crap we didn't crap.
Whatever we'll fix it in editing. But I did like it. He comes out and just stabs and twists the knife in its head. And then she's freaking out, and he holds her just to calm her down. And I thought that was a very effective, good acting in her part of being terrified. And I think maybe that's why as a kid, just all those things cut together. it still kind of works in my opinion, but whatever. If you could be a cynical asshole like you, then doesn't.
It was all right.
I still think it holds up, but it could be nostalgia talking.
So then they she put on her butt cover again after this.
And so it's a little bit of a bonding situation for them.
He saved her life.
But yes, definitely he did.
And they're at another camp, I guess.
Yeah, and they go swimming, right? Oh no, this is before that. Whatever. Yeah. You got the Aborigine friend that comes by, which I like.
The guy who's like city boy, but he was born an Aborigine.
Neville, I think his name is.
Yeah, and
he's wearing blue jeans.
Totally thinks and acts like a modern person that you wouldn't expect to be an Aborigine.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to have to break it to a lot of people. A lot of Aborigines are just normal, average people, and they live in town.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, it's just. I mean, they're people, exactly. Yeah. And that's what I liked about it is he comes out and she's spooked at first because like, who's this guy? Oh, it's my friend Neville. Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
And then he says he looks at his watch that he has. It beeps at him or something. He says, "Oh, we're late for the ceremony or dance we have. So I'm gonna go. See ya." I like that. And oh yeah. And then she says, "Oh, how do Aborigines see in the dark?" Oh, they just have a way about things, and then you hear them bump into something. Oh, it's okay. I'm all right.
Yeah, and he's like, I hate the forest.
Hate the forest in the dark. Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
As anyone would.
Yeah, and then Mick is like, I'm going to go join them.
Yeah, women are not
You can't
allowed.
come.
Yep.
No ladies. It's like a fort for all boys in this country.
No girls allowed.
And she's not going to take no for an answer, so she goes to photograph something she shouldn't be photographing because she was explicitly told that you don't take photographs of this.
And they're just dancing around. And he's got...
But it's a good way to introduce people who have no knowledge about Aborigines. Here's something that they're doing. Because it looked like it could be authentic.
I looked it up, and it is. Because Neville, the actor who plays him, he is the foremost person in Australia to know about Aboriginal dance. He's a choreographer. He knows all about it. He's still doing it to this day. So
good.
So yeah,
and it gave off that hint. It was like, okay, good.
That looks real.
We're showing people who have never seen this.
That's
Here's a little hint.
Yep.
And
Australia.
We're not saying good, bad, funny, serious. We're just showing it.
Yeah, it wasn't making fun of them. Just here it is.
Yep.
And I like that. Yeah. Mick Dundee is part of their tribe or a friend or something. And he's got body paint on, but then gets spooked.
She's looking through her viewfinder of her Viewmaster 2000 and
camera.
Going to take a picture, but then Mick makes eye contact through the camera, and she's like, "Jinkies!" and runs back to the camp.
He's got spooky sixth sense. Yeah, he comes back afterwards at the camp, and she is starting really to fall for him at this point, I think.
I think so,
because he's so mysterious and so different. And she even asks him blatantly when he comes back, "Are you telepathic?" And then I think he says a line of something like, what was the line of? Fuck. Something about everything out here wanted to eat me, she says. And then he says something like, well, I thought about eating you too.
Double entendre.
Woo! Woo! Sorry. Anyway.
So they get up and then they get to the next bit.
Yeah, this is where they finally get to the spot where he was in a boat. And at the time, there was water everywhere, and so this is where he was attacked.
Yeah.
And so he finds his old boat, and it has a huge hole in it, and says, "Oh, the croc must have been like 18 feet long, and they took a chunk out of it."
Yep.
And then something like, then it grabbed me, but I fought back. And he's explaining how crocs, what they do when they grab someone.
Yes.
Yep. Which is grab them, bring them down to the bottom, and roll them around until they die. Just basically grab and hold, and was it put them underneath a rock to tenderize them, which I think he just added for fun. But yeah, and he just said, "I fought back," and it let go. He didn't want to fight that much, and that's when she goes and she finds a bunch of empty shells from a rifle. Like, oh, so you were just out fishing here? You weren't poaching crocodiles? Oh, and then we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
but that's the idea.
Yeah.
That he was there.
And that actually happens way earlier. We just
It doesn't
whatever.
matter. And then that's the whole idea. Is then he got wounded, his leg is gashing, and he's crawling through the bush, and all his different stops and how he's getting back. Yeah, and then they're at a pool or whatever.
Yeah,
which is very pretty.
And leading up to the pool, they have the Jesus moment where he explains how God was always with him and something like that. Yeah, they worked Christianity into this.
They did?
Yeah.
I blanked out on this
It was
part.
just a passing moment, but it's very obvious that they took moments to mention that he was Christian.
Oh, all right.
And that he used his faith to help him get out alive. And then he ends up at the pool, and they go swimming, and
I think they kiss a little bit.
They make out.
Yeah.
He gets her some food, and that's where the line of "you can live on it, but it tastes like shit" first happens.
Oh yeah, he has a whole spread of stuff, of grub and lizards, and says, "All that stuff, it's fine. You can live on it. It tastes like shit." But I mean, and he pulls out a can of beans. It's like, but you can have this instead. Yeah, which is funny. But this is when after they kiss, she just kind of says, "I want you to come back with me to New York City for the story." And he's like, "Well, I mean, got this. Why not?
Yeah,
they're paying me. Got this pretty lady who's interested in me. Sure, let's do it." Mm-hmm. And whatever. And that's really it.
He spears a fish and then throws it aside.
What? That's going to be better eating what these grubs and lizard stuff you had. Although the lizard might be pretty good. I'd give that lizard a try.
I'd give the lizard a try.
Yeah. I wouldn't. I mean, unless I had to eat those giant grub thing. It'd just be mushy. I mean, I know Pomona and Toomba loved eating those things, but nah. I'll have the can of beans instead.
So then they, after making out a little bit, they hear woo. Woo!
Oh yeah, Neville's watching.
Yeah.
You don't see him, but you hear a woo.
And then he's like, he's probably lost, which I didn't quite get because they found him right away and he was there. But either way, he mentions to Walter that he's going to go back to New York, and Walter's like,
oh yeah, you're going.
Yeah, and he does the fist pump, like, you got some, huh? Didn't you?
Buddy.
And then, so then they transition to him getting on a plane. And
never been on a plane before.
He must have gotten his passport very quickly in order to do this.
It was the 80s. Flying was so simple. Who cared? He brought his knife on. It doesn't matter.
And they take off, and as he takes off, all you hear is, Jesus Christ.
Well, I mean, if you've never flown on a plane before,
Yeah,
he got a little. His ears.
He was
were
nervous.
Popping.
Yeah,
he was nervous. He started crying like a baby, and they gave him some bubble gum. He got to go sit with the co-pilot. Got little his wings.
Oh, he's got his wings.
Yep, things you could do in the '80s. Going into the cockpit as a kid.
I didn't get wings. They only gave me extra drinks and like sandwiches last time.
Extra drinks. Okay, and then he sat on the captain's lap, and then he's like, So Joe, you like movies with gladiators in them?
That would have been awesome.
Aw, sexual assault.
Because that would have meant that I would have gone through first class, and I would have been like, slap, like everyone's back of their head, because it would be in the middle of the night, and I'm like, I'm not sleeping, neither are you.
Man, jerk-ass
jerk.
kid. Mm-hmm.
That is, unless if I was up in first class, then I'd be sleeping with him.
Have you ever gone first class? I mean, have you ever been bumped up?
No.
Oh, no, it's amazing. It happened once. I can't remember where I was going to, but we used to fly a lot to Mexico and back when I was a kid. And I don't remember what happened, if this was that, but I remember being in first class, and it was
I like that you get like your little pod.
Yep, you get everything. But
anyway,
they weren't flying first class, even though they should have been.
They were flying the not coach, but not first class,
and
that middle area, because it was roomy and there weren't that many people sitting there. So they had the nice area, but not the really nice area.
But now we're in New York City.
1986.
I like that they used to shoot on location in New York. Now it's Vancouver. Everything is... They just go to Vancouver because it's cheap, and they can make Vancouver look like anything, apparently. But
it also looked like when they did shots, they did it almost guerrilla style in New York, where some of the people in the shot had no idea what was going on.
That happened a lot, I'm sure. The 80s.
Meh. So they take them to the hotel. The hotel's huge.
Enormous. Again, this newspaper money. What the fuck? He's just, oh, so how many people are staying here? Just you. Okay, this is huge. This is enormous.
Yep. Bidets are funny.
I forgot about this joke, and I thought he had no idea what a bidet was. And then when she's leaving, he sticks his head out the window and says, "It's for for cleaning your bum afterwards," or something, or your backside.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the editor-in-chief guy is there, and he's with Sue or whatever, and he's I'm a New York guy. Hey.
I don't really care for this.
Oh, this guy's.
guy.
Why did he bring this guy here? Oh, it's part of a story that everybody loves, which we really don't.
We never get the hint of that at this point yet.
I mean, it's not like people are, wow, this news story is amazing. My God, just a hooker talks about it later on.
I know.
Hey, you're that guy who was reading about it in the newspaper.
So we know who their
audience
demographic is for this newspaper.
Hookers. Yeah. But blah, blah, blah. He goes out on adventures in New York by himself.
And he meets prostitutes. He meets taxi drivers, transvestites.
And more importantly, the limo driver.
Yeah. Limo driver who, when he's living in New York, he's a limo driver. When he's living in L.A., he's a police officer.
Carl Winslow. Officer Carl Winslow is here. Or, I can't remember his real name. Reginald Val Johnson. There we go. That's his real name. But Carl Winslow is here. He's a limo driver. Awesome. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, yeah, and there's a little interaction where he's like, hey, so he's Mick is asking, so what tribe are you from?
Yeah.
And he just, no tribe.
No.
Just here.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a good way to get punched in New York City is to ask people that.
But Paul Hogan's charming. He's just he's generally just.
Oh yeah.
He wasn't making fun. He just.
And everyone who he met caught on to that. Even the people
you
who
have no idea about anything. I can tell. You're definitely not from here. Or from civilization.
And it's good. This is the part that I think stuck with me the most is all his adventures by himself in New York. Because those are kind of relatable things when you go somewhere you've never been before and kind of how out of sorts you feel.
Where do I go? What do I do? How are the people? And his first outing, he just walks and there's just so many people that he's trying to say good day to everybody, but there's just so many people he's bumping into them and he just gets lost in the sea of people. That's why he climbs a pole or whatever, and
horse cop
comes in and snatches him and drops him back off at the hotel.
Gives him his knife.
Gives him his giant Bowie knife.
Hey, there's nothing against the law saying you can't have that knife. I guess.
Whatever. And
this is like the '80s New York. There was, everything was scummy and scuzzy and. Simpler times.
It was simpler times. Whatever, they go to dinner with Sue and her editor,
who had been drinking for 3 hours up until then.
So
he didn't seem that drunk at the beginning, but
no, but he is an asshole. Is the point. And he's just making fun of Mick for not knowing anything. He says, "Oh, maybe you can order for us all," and it's in Italian.
Yeah.
And he's just talking Italian, being a complete asshole. So of course, what do? You punch him in the face
because that's justified ends of means. But whatever.
And I mean, yeah. Whatever. You punch him. And Sue's just kind of, he told me you punched him. That's not nice. She's really not, because she knows deep down that this guy's a piece of crap. And she really doesn't like him. But
I did like the line, though, where he's like, I feel like I'm going to throw up. And she just rolls her eyes at him.
Oh, yeah, they're in the back of a tag. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to throw up. Oh, you're such an annoyance. Then second night out, meets a cab driver or whatever, and
he's done with the night, so they're going to go out drinking.
Go drinking to a local pub.
You meet some guys that are fancy, nice, kind. I mean, not like rich fancy, but they're in their own means fancy. That's how because that guy was wearing like a hat, a leather jacket, very nice shirt. The one that shook his hand and showed him how to shake
his hand.
And was like, I like this guy.
Yeah, and that's really so do I. As a viewer, I like this guy too.
Yeah, I would totally be down with just having a few drinks with him and talking to him.
Yeah, tell what do you think? Well, what's it like here? What's it like? I mean, you want to drink with this guy, but then this fellow wants to do more things to him.
Oh yeah,
but the transvestite, which doesn't hold up anymore in my opinion. In the 21st century,
it's assault.
I mean, though it's his fault too, though, because you gotta say who you are. He's assuming that you're a lady. He doesn't know. You know that he's.
Yes, I agree.
But then and they're like, we've been trying to tell you all night. That lady, that's actually a guy.
Yeah, and that was something that was more of a joke back then.
It was the joke back then, and
not anymore.
No, and Crocodile Dundee goes over and shakes his hand down below, like, oh yeah, he has a dick, and he runs off, but whatever.
You know what, she looks nice. She does. she dresses up good. She had good makeup.
Was it actually late? I have no idea. I didn't even look it up.
No, doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Whatever. It does. That part does not hold up anymore.
No,
in movies.
Then he goes outside to have a breather, and there's two ladies leaning up a car, and he's like, "I like to have parties, so I like having a good time." Oh, you like having a good? And then this is where the prostitute's like, "Hey, you're that guy from the newspaper."
Yep. And then a pimp comes up and he's like, "Hey," basically Mick says something like, "Quit talking dirty like that. I'm about to make it with these ladies. Go away. I'm about to have a 3-way." He's like, "Yeah, because they're prostitutes." Then he starts mouthing off or something. He punches them.
Well, yeah, he said no talking, more.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, get
down to business.
That's right.
So then he punches them.
Yep.
And then the ladies are all like, "My hero."
I guess so.
Leaving out the fact that they'll get beaten to shit later by him for this.
Well,
but whatever.
No, this is unrealistic.
Unrealistic. Okay.
Yeah. Cab driver picks them up and they leave. And,
he doesn't pick them up. He's like,
because he's drunk.
"I'm so good. I gotta go home." And then Mick drives him home, and then you hear him yelling at other cars, honking horns, because drive on the right side of the road, and then whatever Australian phrases he shouts.
Oh, that's right. But because he's on the wrong side of the road because of reverse. But then it's morning, and what I do like is he's been sleeping on the floor.
Yes,
because the bed is probably too comfortable, and now he's taking a bath, and he's cleaning his own clothes in the bath. Yep. And then what's her face? Sue comes in and she pretends to be the maid,
Rosalita or whatever.
And he's like, "Hey, Rosalita, not now. I don't have sex with you, Rosalita."
Not again.
Takes his hat and puts it over his crotch. Yeah. But it's just you.
Wah wah.
And then come meet my dad. We're going out to he's having a gala ballroom dinner thing.
They have a hot dog on their way out, and she
whatever.
And then he's like, "Are these good?" And then she says, "Well, you can survive on it, but it tastes like shit." Right in front of the guy who's selling it.
And I was thinking, like, no,
that's mean.
I know what you're doing because you're turning it around on him. But this guy's trying to make a living.
Yeah,
he's in.
This is a New York guy selling stuff on the street. He would be like, "Oh, you think my stuff is shit?" and pull it back and be like,
"Screw you, never having any of mine again."
But
I know
the nice '80s New York. We didn't see any strip clubs at all in this movie.
They were in Times Square at the time, and it was a shithole.
Yeah,
before Giuliani cleaned it up and killed.
I was there before he cleaned it up, and I saw how many there were.
Yeah, I guess suppose. I'm probably skipping stuff.
Yeah, we are, but it doesn't matter.
Oh, they go to an '80s party and there's a guy trying to do coke. And Mick not knowing what cocaine is, I guess, not knowing about drugs, which is weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dumps
and
it all in.
The movie tries to normalize cocaine use.
Yeah. And this guy was just doing blow in the kitchen.
And then the girl says,
the '80s. I miss it.
The girl said, "Oh, he's just doing that to get a buzz," and that's all that said. I'm like, holy crap. They are really trying to make cocaine sound, it's nothing bad. You just get a little buzz from that.
It was
okay.
It's a simpler time.
Simpler times. It was the 80s.
It was just 80s coke. It was just to get a buzz. I mean, he had a long day on Wall Street, and Mick thinks he's got sinus problems, so he dumps all the coke into hot water and puts a rag over his head and says, "Breathe in. This is how we do it to get rid of your sinus problem," which he thinks. And then Sue's like, "That's a couple $100 worth of coke you just did. What's coke? I have no idea." Yeah, whatever. That's not very believable. But later on in this movie, there's something completely unbelievable, which takes me out of the movie completely as an adult. When I watch it, I said, "That's a bunch of bullshit." So remind me to tell you about that when we get to it, because it made me angry.
Holy cow! Really?
This movie did something that pissed me off royally.
At that party too, one of the two prostitutes was there with another man. He's like, "Oh, it's good to see her here with her father." Blah blah blah. Anyway,
and there was awesome '80s dresses everywhere.
Oh yes,
like an alphabet dress this lady was wearing, and Sue was wearing this red terrible.
Oh god, that dress!
Holes everywhere. Horrible dress.
Awful. Anyway,
skip to it.
So now we're up in that Sunday dinner party at the Mick Mansion of the mogul that owns one newspaper in New York.
And he mentions, he's like, so is this the fellow you've been talking about? And you've been wasting all my money on? Oh, just kidding. You're my daughter, and I'm wealthy. So that's why you've been going to all these huge hotels and spending you're hugely wealthy. Okay, now it makes sense.
Yep.
Nah.
Anyway,
okay.
And they trout around.
Yeah, there's a
around.
trout. Yeah, because after Mick, he didn't kill that trout that he killed. He just brought it along.
It's now a zombie trout.
Yeah, this is like, whole different movie.
But they take Mick around and introduce him to people, and it would in reality be a bunch of people going, wow.
So your name is Crocodile? I see.
And they would be, less like, oh, it's so quaint.
Yeah.
But in the movie, they actually treat them very nicely, and they seem very interested and down to earth people. Where I don't know.
Whatever.
Doesn't matter.
They're having a dinner, and then editor jerky New York guy proposes to Sue. She never says
yes.
Exactly. She never said yes. She's just kind of in shock of, wow, this is all happening. She really doesn't say anything, and Mick notices because he's sitting further away on the table, which doesn't make sense. I don't know. Whatever, but he's like, all right, well, if that's the way it's going to be, and the next day I'm leaving. Yep. I'm going back to Australia. There's nothing for me here. Bye. But then she changes her mind, and she runs to the hotel, but he's already left. He talked to the doorman. How do I get out of here? Yep, nerdy doorman, and they have a little conversation about trying to talk like a New Yorker, and then he's trying to talk Australian, which is fine. But he goes to the subway because he's going to go walk about in the subway, just going to
start walking all over the United States.
I guess so. Or he's going to leave, go to the whatever. He's going on walkabout, but he's starting with the subway.
Yeah. So they tell her that, so she chases and runs, like you said. Halfway there, she tosses her shoes off.
This is bullshit.
She would have found every single pebble and stone on the street.
Every single piece of garbage. Just
and this
cut
is
to shreds.
New York in the 80s.
Exactly.
So there's like hypodermic needles everywhere.
They're tripping over homeless people. There's piss and shit and blood and semen everywhere.
And she's going into the subway, which is even worse.
Yeah. She's just right down the sidewalk. Okay, that's horrifying. Now you're going into the subway? My God, woman.
So we can guarantee she has hepatitis now.
She's got it all. Yeah, just terrible. And I thought, the actress is doing this? What? You had to have cleaned. Come on, guys. Come on. This is bullshit. I can accept everything else in this movie. Anyway, okay,
So the subway's all crowded, and they have to yell back and forth between guys, and it's like a game of telephone. It's cheesy.
And the music is playing in the background.
I don't remember the music. So it's the music you like. Okay. So it's in 5/4 time?
Sure, if that's 5/4 time, it is.
I don't know. It kind of sounded like it.
Yeah, so it's completely crowded. They're waiting for the train to come by, and Mick is all on the other side, and they plays telephone with one guy the guy with the red bandana. I've seen that actor before.
He seems familiar.
Tons of stuff. I think it was a Cosby Show. I think he was in. He was another doctor in the Cosby Show.
Okay,
but anyway, and then they play telephone. And
why should he not leave?
Yeah, and how they say, "I love you." Yeah. That's why you shouldn't leave. And then
it's because the people in between end up getting involved. They start going,
and everyone else started getting like, "Oh, why should you leave? I'm sorry, that guy's not right for me."
Mm-hmm. And then he's like, "Okay, I'm coming back," and he can't get through, so he ends up walking across the people.
It's so awesome.
It's set up because he said, "We're stuck in here like sheep." No one in New York would describe being in the subway being stuck together like sheep.
I guess not.
That's to cue into his roots being back from Australia.
Yep.
And then he ends up walking across people, crushing necks, poking eyes out.
Because they all heard the conversation of she loves him. He loves her
he
back.
He murdered people.
We got to get them together. And so they all help, and they all put their hands up, supporting him.
I saw a lot of faces getting crushed.
He stepped on a couple heads. They were smiling. It was fine. And he makes it across to her.
They were happy because they got paid extra because they got stepped on.
And they got a close-up of them. The music swells. The amazing music swells. And they're together. And the movie ends immediately as they're just smiling, holding each other. Oh, great ending. I loved it.
The only thing that's worth mentioning that we forgot was when they get mugged. And the guy...
It's a classic scene.
Because it's a classic scene, we have to mention it.
You're right.
He's like, hey, man, you got a light? He's like, no.
And she knows instantly, this is a mugging.
Yeah. And then he pulls out a little switchblade. He goes, yeah, well, you're going to give me your wallet. And then he's like, what? No, I'm not going to give you my wallet. Got to give him your wallet. He's got a knife. That's not a knife. Then he pulls out his Bowie knife, which this is a knife. And then cuts the guy's sleeve.
Jacket. He cuts his
nice
Eddie
Michael
Murphy
Jackson,
jacket.
Eddie Murphy jacket.
Yep. Yeah. That's a great scene. And then The Simpsons. That's not a knife. This is a knife. No, that's a spoon. I see you've played Knifey Spoony before. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a very important scene. You're right. That I completely forgot about.
That's okay.
Because I wanted to get to the exciting ending.
Knifey Spoony reference?
I guess so. And the ending, which I like. And
okay. I see that you like it.
I don't know why. I want to say it's complete nostalgia. But, so I guess we're getting to final judgment.
Final judgment.
Dun-dun! Whether or not this movie holds up. A lot of nostalgia for me, obviously. The music just gets me, enjoying this movie to watch it again and again and again, which I want to watch the second one now. I think, but I understand why this movie doesn't work. It's very simple, but it's also, that's what's nice about it too. It's not, it's not that bad. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't have worked if it was someone else besides Paul Hogan, in my opinion. I think he's extremely charming.
Sure.
So charming that he actually fell in love with Sue, or Linda is her real name, and they got married.
Aww.
Then they divorced in 2013.
Aww.
But they were married for a while. But I would say, check out this movie. I think it's a fun 80s movie. To go back and watch. But
your stance is weakening as you talk.
I know it is. It is. Okay. Heavy nostalgia for me. I understand that. Okay, I'll let you ramble on.
All right. To me, this movie is boring. I hate to say it because, as a kid, I thought it was more stuff happening, but it's actually, here's two people walking over here, talking while walking, then they stop walking and talk.
Yeah.
Then they walk over somewhere else while talking, stop, and talk again.
Hey.
So it's a lot of walking and talking in kind of interesting places. Well, like Australia is very interesting.
Yes,
New York is less interesting because I've seen it.
Yes.
I did think that Times Square in the 80s was awfully quaint. It's so small.
It's very small. They had the Coke sign there. Oh, they had a Midori sign up there. So in the 80s, Midori was the shit.
It's so much bigger than that now. And after traveling around to other big cities and seeing their Times Square-ish kind of places, it's just it looks so small, and it's like, it's cute.
New York City.
But yeah,
you don't like it?
The movie doesn't compel me. It rides the line of being old-fashioned.
I don't know. That's why I liked it. I guess the reason why I liked it was just because, you're right. It's slow, but I wanted to see these two people get together, and then they did, and that's probably why I got excited. And
okay.
Then I
know who these people are.
Yeah.
For anyone who wouldn't know who these people are, they wouldn't give a shit.
Unless you start watching, and then you realize the chemistry between the two, and you're like, oh, I want to see these guys get together at the end of this movie, so I'm going to watch it.
I never felt like I wanted to ship them during the movie.
Okay, well, I did. And the second one does have a lot more action in it. There's gunfire.
Are you trying to convince me to watch the second one?
Yeah, let's watch it together.
Yeah, I'm going to say skip it.
Okay.
I don't think it holds up. I think it's nostalgia that pulls you in.
Yep, I would have to agree with you. But, give it a try. Paul, I understand. Go on, do it. Yeah, go on, do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it. Speaking of doing things.
Whoa.
This here little podcast, you probably download it on iTunes or any other podcast downloading services. If you could rate and review, that would be awesome. Maybe bump us up in some sort of profile and get other people listening to our little program here that we do. Program here in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That just made it sound.
And if you have any suggestions for us, any movies you want to have us review, rewind, we're on Facebook at The Rewinders Podcast. Yeah.
So, we are The Rewinders. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. Wow, 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 wow. Bam, 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 bam,